I met Zach maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
I was thinking about it, 2009.
Yeah, it's crazy, time flies. And at that time, I think he was a brown belt in Judo, but still very good. And you were also in the ROTC.
Yeah.
ROTC. And now he's getting his master's degree in psychology. So you're dealing with a very elite athlete and a scholar. So Rocco, I want you to follow this guy. You know, he was the ROTC. He wasn't just a soldier. He went to the officer training program.
Yeah.
Right. And now he's getting his master's degree. That's 6 years of schooling after high school. And he's going to be a psychologist. He's also a black belt in Shin, which is a style of judo that's more flexible. They allow much more arsenals in their tools. Right? If you want to talk a little bit about yourself and motivate this young man here. You know.
Oh gosh, motivational.
Why don't we all sit down and talk?
How do I what's a motivational speech? Because they're already so motivated.
Is it recording?
Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Well,
this boy here, he's very motivated. Light is fire.
8 years old. How old are you? 8 you said? What grade are you in? Second grade. You playing sports? Football. What made me so interested in? Because I played baseball and football for a while too. It made me so interested in jiu-jitsu. My mom made me join jiu-jitsu class because I was kind of robust. I was a big kid and I needed to lose some weight. So I really didn't like it at first, you know, because there was all this sweating and I had to get really close to my friends and stuff, and they all had germs and cooties and I didn't want to do that. But then the things I learned in jiu-jitsu class, I started learning, helped me in football, and helped me in baseball with my hips. The way I would throw a ball, I'd have more hip rotation. The way I tackled, I would tackle with more of my shoulders in and stuff, and I learned these different concepts in science class too, like gravity and force and acceleration. So I was able to kind of apply everything in my school to judo and jiu-jitsu. So that's how I, even still today, in school I don't think about it in terms of psychology or science or math or anything. I think of how it relates to jiu-jitsu class. Do you think you can relate anything to jiu-jitsu class that you're doing? What's your favorite class? Do you like math, science, reading? Gym? Well, that's perfect. You can relate everything. So what's your favorite sport? Football? And in order to tackle, do you like offense or defense?
Sometimes
Offense?
Quarterback or linebacker? Those are two positions.
Quarterback and linebacker. So how do you think you can tackle someone better? It's all about where you stand, right? Or not to get tackled as a quarterback, or when you're running in, it's about lowering your gravity, right? Squatting down kind of so they can't get you, and having a good center line. Because if you're leaning too far back, what happens in jiu-jitsu? What do? They push you, right? Or if they lean too far forward like this, what do? They flatten you, right? So when you play football, how should you stand? Should you stand like this? Should you stand like this? Or should you stand like that? Which one? 1, 2, or 3? The second one, right? So that's how I've always liked jiu-jitsu and judo. That's what I like about it. So I could use it for everything. It's my way of life. It's how I think. Right? I don't know what else wise words.
What maybe, okay, so whenever I need help from Zach, like we're in the middle of nowhere, so I'm always, I Facebook and email so many people, I bribe people, I'm willing to pay for their gas and stuff, because I'm really concerned that we get myopic is nearsighted, you only look at this and you think you know everything, and I'm always concerned about getting hit from the left field, like we think we're doing everything perfect, and someone does something that we've never seen before, and we don't even know about it, and we get beat because of that. We don't have to be an expert defending it, we just need to be aware of it. And so, whenever I invite Zach always tries to make the effort to come in. It's a 2-hour drive.
And I lost my wallet.
Yeah, he got his wallet stolen this morning as he was coming in. So, he left it on a garbage can at Tim Hortons, and someone stole his wallet. When he went back, everything was gone from his wallet. Then we took the wallet.
Yeah. He even took my business cards.
Wow.
So I have to give me a call.
Maybe some kid needs help.
But I'm really different, you know. I'm a true believer that you can learn something from anyone. Whether you go into a bar and get into a bar fight, you're learning something, or if you're talking to some random Joe Schmo that likes to do underwater basket weaving, you can always learn something from everyone and apply it. You know, it's like you're gathering this massive toolbox, right, with all your toys and blocks in it, and you just pick which toy you want to play with that time. So you don't have to be an expert at everything, you just have to be aware of it, because if you're aware of it, once the situation presents itself, you're gonna know how to handle it. You know.
So Zach's basically touching on a point that I always mention. When the student is ready, the teachers will appear. Right. That's what basically it's alluding to. Right. And it's actually they attribute that to Buddhism, but I think it came from Zen. And basically, you have to prepare yourself as a student. You have to have a student mindset, right? So although I'm a black belt in Judo and all these other martial art, I always feel like I don't know anything. So I'm always begging this guy to come in. Ask Zach how many times I Facebook you and call you and text you.
We always hang out though, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, we might see each other once a year or maybe twice a year because he's so far away. But next weekend, for example, after the weigh-in, we're going to go grab a bite to eat. But what happened is, when you're surrounded by really insightful people and people who are very thoughtful, insightful, and know who they are as a human being, you can relate to them way better than someone who's like getting drunk on the weekend or don't know anything about themselves. You know what I mean? Or just have life control them. They always feel like they're stressed out. They always feel like they're not in control of their life. Those people are so hard to hang out with. When you hang out with them, you always feel this anger or frustration. But when you hang out with someone who's kind of like he's going places, right? And you mentioned on Facebook that some of your teachers didn't think you want to even graduate from high school, right? So here's a guy who the teachers thought he wouldn't even graduate from high school. Now he's got to grad school.
You know what my first grade in college was? So in college they have like 0.40 is the highest, that's 100%. And the lowest is a 0.00. I had a 0.40, so that's a 0.40.
Wow.
So I was supposed to get kicked out and everything. Then the semester after that, I had a 4.0, 100% improvement. So you just never give up, you know? That's a warrior spirit. That's like Bushido, the Japanese call it Bushido. It's the way of the warrior kind of, you know?
Over the word. And you also have to surround yourself with the right people. And so I find it very refreshing for like guys like Zach, who's willing to drive 2 hours in a pickup truck. So that's
I don't drive a pickup truck anymore. I got a Kia.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I remember. I saw that.
Optima.
Well, I was driving and I'm thinking, please don't drive a pickup truck because I feel so bad. I don't have money to give you.
I had a pickup truck that was all rusted, held up by bungee cords and stuff, and like
it's hilarious. And it cost me like $60 to drive in to see me.
Yeah, more than it was an $800 ride.
So this guy is willing to drive 2 hours to come and train, and then I have guys living in Lyons who call me. Hopefully he's not coming today. He calls me every so often to say I'm coming to train, okay? But he never does.
But
he lives next town.
That's a culture, man. And when you come to love something, that's what you'll do. You know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you go. 6 hours, 8 hours, and out of the price. And
yeah, we've been there. We drove to Detroit and stuff, and what happens? My wife thinks I'm crazy, and you know what I mean. But I think once you find a community of people, like-minded people who are very driven, you want to cultivate that spirit, that community. And what happens is you're going to learn a lot. And what happens when you encounter people who aspire to acquire your knowledge? Sometimes they're shocked. They don't realize that we put in so much time and effort. Like ask that. I mean, we put in so much time. You know, I mean, like you have YouTube videos explaining your philosophy of judo and martial art. You have probably a huge collection of martial art clubs. You know what I mean? He's training all over the place. He's consistently training.
It's a thinking game. You know, this isn't a just throw punches at each other and growl and bark and stuff. You gotta think.
Yeah.
It really is. It's so cliche, but it really is like chess.
Yeah.
You know.
And he brought up a good point. Now, guys who just wants to fight, which is fine. I mean, I'm going to choose people who wants to fight, provided that they're not too violent and they're good spirited. Because the last thing I want to do is train somebody and then he gets in a fight every weekend and I see in the newspaper beating somebody up. It's bad reputation for me. But I think for guys like me and Zach, what we're looking for when we train, like Zach's trying to train his friends in martial art. I have my school now for almost 8 years. What we're looking for is we want to train people to have a lifelong love for martial art. And it's a hobby in one way, but I think martial art is one of those things that has so many overlaps. It's a sport, it's a fighting art, it's a spiritual art, it's a way to build communities, a way to build friendship, it's a way to get to know who you are as a human being. I think it's one of the few hobbies that has so much facet, you know what I mean? And so what we're looking for is people like that, you know what I mean? although this is the MMA school, I don't want it to be like a typical MMA school. And that's why Zach has that same spirit. We wear jiu-jitsu gi, you know, we bow,